All right, so hey, I have an interesting topic to talk about today. It's going to be way easier than I think other things. Wait, first, hi. I got excited. So, but hi, hello. Um, yeah, it's going to be a good one because, I think most of all, I run a very slim chance of offending anybody. So, so this is going to do with be about my automotive my relationship with the automotive world. Um, yeah, gosh. I mean, in short, I had aspirations of going pro. Like if there was anything in my life that I wanted to be pro at, I think that really um, being a good solid driver was what I was going for. So how it got started was I just always really liked cars when I was young, like before I was able to drive, like I'd say maybe around 12, 13, 14, and then I started, I guess, taking lessons from my dad. I never went to driving school, but I started getting taught how to drive when I was 15. And I got my first car, which was an 87 Mercury Lynx hatchback. That was my mom's car. And it was her old car before she got another car in 1996. And so that car got totaled. I didn't do anything to it, but it did get totaled. It was like navy blue, and it was a hatchback. And we had a pretty big dog in our family, a Belgian Shepherd, and his name was Champ. And we had a gate in the back, so he couldn't hop over the back seat that was connected to the hatch of the car. It was that kind of hatchback, not like a wagon. I guess some wagons have their trunks connected to the cab of the car, but yeah, this one had the gate. And I used to drive to school and all that kind of stuff. And so my senior year, I think it was my senior year, I was on the volleyball team. All throughout high school, I was always on a team. I was always in season all year round, pretty much, like volleyball, basketball, and track. So this was during volleyball season, and we had a game, but I was a senior, so my classes ended early, so I left and went home. And when I was coming back to pick my teammates up from school, I went down, this was my bad, but I went down the bus lane, right? And so our campus cop, everyone knew him. He told me to go back up the bus lane. Like, the bus lane was like one direction, pretty much one lane, but it was a big wide lane because it was for buses. And so it wasn't that long, like of a way, but there was like a little bit of a blind curve because there were a lot of pine trees around. And so I'm coming back up the curve, and the school bus is like coming down the way, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, they're not seeing me. And so we had a head-on collision. Long story short, my car got totaled, and we'll just leave it at that. So then I got an 88 Honda Accord, and this is where my car dreams started to come true. I started trying to modify. I had my job at Lady Foot Locker. like had my green and black stripes on like the referee. And I used to sag my pants and have a huge like Nike like chain. I was voted most likely to be sponsored by Nike when I was in high school. That and class clown. So that was cool. But I wore Nike like every season, especially basketball season. Like everything was fresh. So, but yeah, Lady Foot Locker was cool, and I got my first system put in. I don't even know how I got this thing. I don't even know if I went to a store or what. But you know how it is when you're first like modifying and stuff. You might go straight to some retail stuff, which is crazy. It's like going and buying video games from Walmart. It's just like it's going to be crazy overpriced, and once you've been in it for a little bit, you pretty much know like what's up. You fast forward to like my college days, I had like a parts broker in my car club. Not that we were like winning national and international championships, but we were pretty cool. And so you go back to where I started. I can't even remember where I got my first sub. I think it was like one JL Audio 10, and like I forget how many amps how many watts the one amp was. Oh, and I know that I got it installed at a shop because I didn't have anybody to install that for me. I've never been good with electronics. Like, nah. Throughout my years, I've tried and I've tried again, and I've shorted out very many things, and I've shocked myself very many times. Not anything major. Like I can change a battery, like I can do those types of things, but like fully installing a system, like I can repair what's wrong, I can diagnose what's wrong, but me just lacing it and like correctly, I always reach for help for that. But yeah, I had some TriStar rims on that Accord, like tinted the windows, and I put like JL Audio stickers in like the rear like small mini windows, like near the back quarter panels. So yeah, that was my ride, man. Like changed the head unit. That I was fresh. So actually I was feeling pretty fresh, so. But then I got into an accident. From what I understand, my brakes failed. I don't think that was a lie, but something did happen. I was out with a couple of friends, and I remember one of my homegirls, she was, I think she was spitting a spitball at me. I don't know, but it wasn't the cause of the wreck, but I wound up rear-ending somebody, like, just near the mall, and it, like, did something to my radiator, and the car was just pretty much totaled. So from there, we went to CarMax and got what was like the introduction to like it. I knew that I wanted a manual transmission. The first two had been automatics. I knew it. I just knew it. And, my dad tried to talk me out of it, and I was just hard pressed. Like, it just has to be. And there was actually a car in between, but that one wound up getting taken back, so it's not even worth talking about. But the black Accord, it was a 95 Honda Civic, and if you know the history, at least here in the States, in 96 it became really popular to have two cams, and the 95, and that's when it turned into an EX. The 95 we used to call the EX. Me and I guess anybody else who had the car was I called it that, the EX before the EX before the EX. Like, I had one camshaft, but in 96 they changed the headlights and put in two. But it was a really good car. If you remember the Fast and the Furious, the very first one, where they have like the three black Civics with the green neon in the undercarriage, like I had that car. I didn't have any neon, but I did have like fresh little things here and there. Like, I spent a lot of time maxing out credit cards working on that ride. You get to college, and before they changed the laws, I think I've gone over this before in another video, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I really don't mind. But yeah, before they changed the laws, they solicited college students to sign up for credit cards. So I just got them all, and I just used them all on my car. Like, I didn't do anything else besides like just work on my ride, you know. I forget what I did first. Oh my gosh. Like, gosh, I know one of the first things I had was a fiberglass kit. When the polyurethane ones first came on the market, I was one of the first ones to like ever get them. And my insurance covered, I think my insurance covered when my kit got damaged. I forget what happened, but I was able to file a claim on a kit, and I got a brand new polyurethane kit, which was a big deal because my car was dropped, and you know, going over speed bumps and stuff. I'm a good driver, but you know, still, you make mistakes. I make mistakes. Speed bumps are high sometimes, and my car was like slammed, you know. And I went, oh my gosh, I had adjustable coilovers. I never went to just straight shocks, but I had coilovers, and then I went to adjustable coilovers. I had front and rear strut bars, sway bars, strut bars, you know, whatever. I think I had shocks, but still, I think I changed over. Like, I forget. But I had the Xeon headlights when they first came out, and I'm talking about when they first came out here in the States. Like, what they're doing other places, like, I can only imagine. Like, yeah, we'll just leave it there, okay? So I might be a little behind, like, so, or at least I could have been back then. But anyway, so I replaced the factory headlights, factory tail lights. I got the Lexus Altezza tail lights and the ultra clear headlights with the Xeon lenses, or Xeon bulbs, and black corner markers, and then I put in hyper white side markers, carbon fiber dash cluster, carbon fiber short shifter. That was Momo. I went through all kinds of systems. Like, I've tried almost everybody. I tried everybody on the market that I could get my hands on. Same thing with tires. I've been through almost every tire manufacturer that there is. Yeah, for sure. Like, but okay, so let me not get sidetracked. So with tires and my short shifter and basically my interior and my tires, I was sponsored by Sumitomo in the end, before my car got totaled. Sumitomo tires were my sponsor for that, and then Polk Audio and Momo were my sponsors for audio and interior. So to fast forward, I fell asleep at the wheel. The highway to my college is really dark, and one day after I graduated, I went back down, or I was going back down, and I had my cruise control on, and I fell asleep at the wheel. So everything is good. I'm here, and I'm all well, so thank God for that. But the car got totaled. It was crazy seeing all that just go to the dump yard. Like, do you understand, like, what that feels like? Okay, so let me rewind. The rims that I left, oh my gosh. I remember I bought my first set of rims from eBay, and I think I got the number of lug nuts that I had on my car wrong. And I think I got the offset wrong. One or the other. I made a huge mistake. But I wound up having to resell those, and then I got another pair. And then I got another pair. Or set. So, oh man, but they were fresh though. So, I forget. I think that was all. But I will say that I had the loudest, probably the clearest loud system, the clearest, loudest system on campus. I didn't have the loudest because there were a lot of people that had like Caprices and like old school cars that just were filled with like 15s and stuff like that. But everything was taken care of, like mids, highs, head unit, wiring, everything was perfecto mundo. So, and I wanted to race, like this is when I wanted to start going, I guess, legit, kind of like in the Fast and the Furious, like, oh, I'm gonna go legit, I'm gonna go this, and I really wanted to drive SCCA, Sport Compact Car Association, but I didn't want to go and like race. Like I think I had aspirations of wanting to go Formula One. I always felt like I would do well. I'm not exaggerating. I just felt like, maybe my time had passed because I never spent my youth like training. I didn't have intentions on going for that kind of training. So instead, like realistically, I started wanting to go and get my licenses at the different circuits that were set up in my state and neighboring state. And I really wasn't interested in going out and beating other people. I was just always interested in precision and beating my own times and doing really well. And modifying, of course, But I'm not just into modifying, I'm into the whole spectrum. And I'm obviously not trying to go out and beat anybody if I have like 60, 70 pounds worth of audio equipment in my car and have no intentions of doing anything to lighten anything up. My rims alone were just heavy. They were aluminum, but still, like they weren't like lightweight. Like I didn't have that kind of mentality, and as far as doing like deep engine work, I would do little upgrades like intake exhaust and upgrade like, certain parts of my system and stuff like that. But I just didn't have the money to really go that far. Like I had mechanics around and I wanted to be a part of that. But like an engine drop, my car club didn't have that kind of facility. At the time, I didn't have the money for an engine or the replacement costs or anything that would come afterwards. It was just totally out of my realm. So that's when I started looking for sponsors and stuff like that so I could grow in a way that I could grow as a driver. I've always been a good driver, always been really good. Like I don't know if this is going to be incriminating, but I will say in my youth I did a lot of street racing, and I don't think my record has ever been broken. I don't even think I have a record because everything, like I used to leave home and go down to a certain area where there was a lot of street racing, and this was like 20 years ago. So I think it's okay to talk about now. But yeah, I would race everybody. And we would talk about like, it was a huge car scene in that area. And at that time, you're talking about like the late 90s. So this is like the heyday almost of like the import scene here in in my state, you have to kind of see where it moves to a little bit. And that was completely like kind of underground. But before that, it was just like wide open, butt naked in the street, like here I am. So I used to go down and race everybody, and there would be lots of cats that were just supercharged, turboed, just all kinds of like deep engine mods. Like couldn't hang with that. But if I was gonna do anything, I was gonna get you off the line. Like if I hear you buzzing and whirring around and having like, like blow off valves, hissing and shit, like I know what's up. I know that my 1.5 liter is not going to beat that completely factory, almost completely factory. Like I did things to my suspension, like I got my suspension to a point where it just felt good. Like, my braking system, I upgraded that, not to like a high degree, but I did everything that I could in the direction that I could afford that would do the most have the most positive impact on my driving. And so, don't shut down Xbox. Just gotta fight the Xbox. You don't want that thing to shut down, because then you gotta turn it back on. We all know that I don't like that. So, but yeah, like, you know, back to the line. I knew if I was gonna do anything, I was gonna get you off the line. And I'm not trying to be racing somebody with some automatic who's just, you know, trying not to peel out and just mashing down the gas. Like, that's cool and everything, but I was really looking for people that, you know, with a comparable situation. So I've always been really heavy in working on my shifting, even when you fast forward to the car that was donated to me. Okay, so the continuation of the story. When the Civic got totaled, at first the insurance company wanted to give me like $700 for my car, and I was just like, that's not gonna work, you know, because I put mad dough into it. And they were like, well, you gotta show us receipts. And I was like, well, I went to a parts broker, but it was all legitimate. So when all the paperwork went through, I wound up getting $7,000 for my car, which was enough for me to get my dream car at the time. My dream car now is an Aston Martin DB9, like 2012. The thing is nasty. But my other dream car is a black on black BMW M3 around the same time. I have different time periods of cars. 2012 is one of them, 2010 for that BMW, and 95. Like, you have all the heavies, like, yeah, the Civics and Silvias and all that, like, yeah. But anyway, there's a lot during that little time period. But when the Civic got totaled, I was able to get a 325 IS, which is an inline 6-cylinder BMW. An inline, it's like, instead of having, like, instead of it being horizontal to the cabin, it is vertical. So, like, you know, the dash and the engine form a T, and it just basically blows through energy and combustion and air and stuff faster. That bitch was so clean. Oh my gosh. It had its issues, like the people before it were trying to modify it. So it had an engine issue ultimately, which caused its demise, but partly, but it had other things. But once those were like cleared out, like the people put over the passenger side airbag a metal plate, and I think they may have turned the airbag for that side off, but it still made little to no sense to, like, you know, drill into the airbag escape with a metal plate. I mean, it was extreme, but I don't know. Maybe the airbag was permanently broken, but when I turned it back on, it didn't show any signs of, like, malfunctioning, you know? And they had, like, vinyl stickers on the body of the car, which caused, like, the paint to be stained by the sun, like, once you took them off. But it was fresh. It had gray leather interior, stick shift, man, lowered. It had really heavy aluminum rims on it, but, you know, low profile in the Civic, by the way. I think that was pretty much granted, but low profile tires, just a really pretty car. It was like alpine white, and it was just beautiful. Black windows, 2-door, ooh, and it had like those big doors, you know, like coupe doors, ooh, oh, and the gray was so beautiful. White with gray leather interior and black windows. Get the fuck out of here. So beautiful. Oh, so beautiful. And it was so fun to drive. Like, it had issues in the gearbox, had issues like I wanted to take that to the track, but the drive shaft was bad. It would kind of, like, do one of these numbers. Can't really see it like that. Like my drive shaft would be like that. And ultimately what happened, well, my Xbox turned off, so let me just do that. I don't like the right color. So but yeah, so the drive shaft was bad, and it was basically the bearings on either end. But this is me kicking it in LA, you know what I'm saying, like on my own, chilling. Like I didn't have dough to be modifying some car, like, so I lost my sponsorships, by the way, after the Civic got totaled. So that's just how it goes. Yeah, but that BMW was fucking nasty. Oh, it's so good. Oh, I named my BMW Hans. Yeah, man, Hans was the shit. So, but yeah, Hans ultimately had to leave this place to the dump yard, but that's cool. That's just the way it goes. So back to what I was saying before about shifting. I was on foot in LA for a while, and a girl that I was working with, she, her grandfather had a car, an 88 Mazda 323 hatchback with a stick shift, and she told me that he was wanting to give it away. And so it all went through that this awesome car was donated to me. It was another hatchback, just like the first one I got. And Cody, I was always gentle on Cody. Cody was the name of the car. Yeah, I had read a book, and one of the person who wrote the book was named Cody, and I just decided to name my car after that character, that person in the book, because the character was pretty hardcore, but Cody was hardcore because Cody had like 325,000 miles on him when I got him. I tend to name my car guys. I think the Civic was a girl. No, the Civic was a guy, but it was named the Honey, so it was like asexual. So like Gudetama. There's sexless. But no, like Cody was Cody, gold and awesome. But I was always gentle to Cody because like Cody had like that old school Mazda, or that old school, like, engineering and old school design, like, small, like 13-inch tires, or 13-inch rims, just, you gotta be cool. It was an antique car. I had my antique tags on it, so I never really took like Cody like hardcore, but I would always work on my shifting and parking all the time. Everything precision, and it was real cool because I worked for a pretty cool company when I was in Los Angeles, a valet company that goes through a whole lot of training. At the time, from what I understand, they went through the most training of any valet company in the United States. And, that was pretty cool. I think that's true. I can guess it to be true because a lot of the people that we valeted for had houses that were in really, like, ultimately shitty locations. You have a party with like 200 cars in the Hollywood Hills. Like anyone who worked for that company will tell you about cars getting accidentally driven all kinds of ways, but the Hollywood Hills, like, it's all hills, it's all expensive cars. Like, you have the Bentleys and Rolls Royces, and we're talking about like Phantoms coming out, around that time. So you have like $250,000 cars, that you have to park around a curve and not fuck up, and all kinds of stuff that are on hills, Ferraris, Bugattis, everything. So I can understand why there had to be a lot of training, but I really liked working for that company because that's where I was able to meet my DB9. Oh my goodness, it was fantastic. Oh, I remember this one person, they came back and they were like, I don't want to move this because it was parked really tight on a hill and it was a stick. And I got there, man, if I had balls, like, I would say my balls were scared right off. I was like, I can't fuck this car up. I just can't fuck it up. I can't fuck it up. Oh, and by the way, by this time, my aspirations for racing and going to a track were like over. I was just like, at this point, I don't have a car. I lost my sponsorships. I don't have a car. If I ever get another car, then I'll go to the track. But, pretty much at this point, it was just like probably 10 years after all this started. So, but anyway, so I'm in the DB9 and it was just so beautiful. It was black on black. And I was just like, what? This is amazing. And I remember starting it and the engine just sounded nasty. And I had to be cool. I had to be cool because I was on a hill. But I got it out and I was just able to like feel it. And it just felt so good. I felt a lot of cars like, everything, but that DB9, it just was like simple, luxurious, really good gearbox. It was just so smooth, and it like already came with like it was already short shifted. Like I like a nice short shift, and it just felt so nice. And even like the knob on the shifter was like, it was almost the same knob that I had in my Civic. And I was like, wow, they chose this. Like everything that I put a short shifter in my Civic too. And basically everything that I was trying to do, I found that car like had, So, and I know like the DB11 came out later and all that kind of stuff, but I just really like the DB9. Other cars have been real cool and fun to drive. Like I remember parking this one Phantom Rolls Royce, and it was just so big and heavy, and I'm like, people just drive this every day. But just parking it in a difficult parking space was like one of the highlights of my driving career. Little things like that. I remember there was like this, a McLaren Mercedes, the really, really big, long nose one. That was pretty cool. There's just some really interesting, unique cars out there. So working for that company granted me the access to like, just appreciate things like that. So that was the end of my driving, I guess, career. So now we'll see what car has, is for me in the future. But, one thing that I will say is that I have made a promise never to drive over 80 miles per hour ever again in my life. I don't even think during an emergency. My days of adventure in that avenue, I don't think I was ever reckless, but I would go right to the edge. But those days are over. So I promise I will never drive over 80 miles per hour. I'm making that promise to myself right now. So yeah, but I always love cars. But I have to monitor myself, I've always wanted to drift and learn how to drift like correctly. I don't think that'll be happening. So stuff like that is just like adios, but that's cool. That's just how it goes. But on that note, it's been a fun time sharing my car dreams, car life with you. Safety first, right? So on that note, I will say bye, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.